Diving around a corner and being able to and start ADSing and aiming to your right when you jump around something, that's entirely different. That'll completely change the way multiplayer plays. I can see myself using that all the time. Think shipment, every single person, instead of running or sliding around a corner, they do a dive and they're shooting mid-dive at you around a corner.
We are live, boys and girls. Welcome to the Dropshot Call of Duty podcast, episode number 434. Today, we have a special edition, very fun, plus exciting episode for you, in which, you said you'd be able to hear my fan, right?
I don't think it was the fan. I think it was the time your AC
yeah. Tell
was
me
running.
Tell me if you hear anything in the background. Welcome to the show. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're doing an episode early. It is Tuesday instead of Thursday, our normal day for our news podcasts. And the reason we're doing that is because of the Black Ops 6 reveal event that happened on Sunday, which I believe was called Call of Duty Direct or Black Ops Direct, something like that.
It was called something. It definitely had a name to it, yeah.
It had a name. It had direct in it. And we wanted to directly talk about it.
Got it.
So that's what we're going to do today. So yeah, in lieu of our Thursday episode. So we'll still be back on Saturday, but we wanted to start talking about this as soon as possible and get into all of the very interesting developments and things we can expect for BO6. So we have a couple announcements, reminder, and we're going to get more into these at the end of the show, but welcome to our new patrons and thank you to all of you. We've also got some new free trial members. Reminder, join the Discord, link your accounts. Instructions are in the Discord on how to do that. We'll talk more about that at the end, but we have free trials on the Patreon. Don't forget, for the month of June. You do the little ad read this week, by the way?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I was going to wait to kind of figure out what we were talking about for the episode we're going to record this week.
Okay. So with that said, what we're going to do today is we're going to watch the thing together, but we're going to do it a little differently. So we're going to skip, first of all, we got a 25-minute video, basically, from Treyarch, covering BO6 and going into and explaining a ton of details about what we can expect from the next game. And a lot of it is super interesting. Some of it we've kind of already talked about on our last episode because of the leaks, all of which turned out to be either true or unconfirmed, by the way. So that's good. And we're going to go through that video together, basically, and then pause, show you some things, and then also talk about some of the things that they're talking about. And I'll say now, this was good. I liked this video. I liked what we can expect, and we'll get more into details on specifics on that right now.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we're going to go through the whole thing, but we're going to start after the campaign section. So there's a little intro section, and then there's a big campaign section where they're just talking about the campaign and the story and some mechanics of that and stuff. I encourage you all to go watch the video itself, BO6 Direct, especially if you're listening to this, because seeing it adds some more context that I think is interesting.
Yeah.
So you can go find that. I'll link it if I remember to in the description. And then you can watch the campaign section yourself. But I'll give you guys a quick TLDR. Basically, it's another Call of Duty campaign. There are going to be some stealth missions and some like non-combat missions, or at least missions that you don't have to do combat for, or you don't have to do combat for the majority of. So like a James Bond type mission, for example, where you're like infiltrating a casino. They talked that up
one
a
looked
lot.
dope. Yeah, that one looked cool.
Yeah. And then there's still going to be missions that are, I'm sure, linear and normal COD campaign like. And then some are going to be like very open, kind of like what we got with MW3, where it's
Open
like you
combat
have
missions. You got like the choice.
Open combat mission, yeah. So it's like your goal is to hack the computer in the office. You can do that however you want. So you want to like distract people, kill people, be stealthy, just lob rockets and be loud. You can do whatever you want, basically. My take on this is all kind of overblown, and it's going to be pretty standard campaign regardless, in the exact same way that open combat missions last time were. It was talked about a lot, and they tried to make it sound incredibly innovative. It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't mind-blowing or anything either. And this campaign will be the same way. But I don't care, because it's a Call of Duty campaign, and I wasn't expecting a God of War Ragnarok style campaign regardless, and neither should you have been. So the campaign will be good. It'll be fine. It will not live up to the hype they're trying to create. But luckily, as listeners of this podcast, none of you believe the hype anyway. So it doesn't matter. It'll be fun. That's the TLDR there. That's why we're not going to go over it.
Yeah. Yeah, plus it's like 7 or 8 minutes of the video, so we just don't have time to do that, really. But more importantly, we're not real big into it. It does look cool, though. I will say that. The setting of this campaign, the missions they were showing off, it does look very interesting. Like, it looks a lot more fun to me than the last couple of campaigns we've had, where it's just typical modern-day desert campaign missions, destroy this military base. I don't know. This one looked different, like the casino mission looked really cool. That was a dope looking casino, and it reminded me of that BO4 map that's based in the casino. Whatever that one was called. Was that map just called Casino? What was it?
It might have just been called Casino. I remember that map though. That was the first time I got. Oh, that was no. That was the map where we saw a guy running the brutal calling card, and we relentlessly mocked him for it.
Oh,
because we knew that he couldn't get a nuke. Yeah. He choked at 25 plus because if he had gotten a nuke, he would of course be running the nuke calling card.
Classic.
So we BM'd him so hard. It was so funny. But that was a good map, actually. I like that map, especially for objective modes. It was big, but for objective, it was good enough.
Yeah, anyways, it was long. I liked it.
Yeah, it was long. Yeah. So... and then other than that, the campaign section, the story, they talk about the story, don't really care, but basically, like, you're a rogue, so...
Yeah, it goes into all the lore, yeah.
Yeah, you were trained by Spec Ops, and then you're forced to, like, fight against the Spec Ops people that trained you. That's, like, the big kind of plot.
Yeah.
And then there's other story bits that I don't
Dude, yeah, speaking of that, like, Frank Woods or all the people... I'm going to be honest with you guys, not a single clue who he is. I don't know. I grew up playing Infinity Ward Call of Duty games, not the Black Ops one so much because I'm older. So I was playing the older games, which were Infinity Ward games, right? So like the Black Ops games, I don't know if I ever played a campaign from like Black Ops 1 to, I don't even know if all of them had campaigns. So I don't know who these people are. I know less about the Black Ops lore than the Infinity Ward series lore, which I also know hardly anything about. So that's why we're not going to get into it, basically. Yeah.
Frank Woods, if I understand correctly, was the protagonist in like BO1, which took place in Nam,
and he's probably died like 15 times in the campaign.
Yeah,
it's Call
probably.
of Duty, and he's back again somehow. He didn't actually die 15 times. Yeah, he should be like 110 years old probably, but he's still the same age. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're super into the campaign, you can go watch it yourself. And then also we're skipping it because they don't get into any mechanics or anything in the campaign section. They don't talk about any mechanics or anything relevant to gameplay really at all. So we're not missing anything by skipping it. So with that said, we're going to start right after that. And the next section, I believe, is called, I don't remember, but we're about to find out. So
yeah, let me get it all fired up here.
We're going to pull up this video. Working. Yeah, tell me when you're ready to go.
I think I'm good to go, man.
All right. So let's start here. So we're going to pause a lot, by the way. So
with Black Ops 6, our goal is to create a more connected experience that keeps players immersed across every single mode. We've pushed ourselves at every corner to innovate and craft the most signature Black Ops experience for our players. Movement has been a consistent area of focus and innovation for Call of Duty. And with Black Ops 6, we're redefining movement across the entire game. For the first time ever, players can sprint in any direction and move like a true Black Ops action hero with an entirely new global system we call Omnimovement.
Okay, so here's the movement section. Yeah, this is probably the biggest thing that people are talking about the most from this
Omnimovement.
And this is one of the leaks we talked about, actually, sort of, on Sunday. And one of our concerns was, I don't want someone to be able to be sprinting, but they're actually looking backwards and I can't tell. Based on the video, and again, I encourage you guys to go watch it yourselves if you're not watching with us, this actually seems really well handled. So they said, like, you can sprint in every direction, and then they showcase that. But clearly, when you're sprinting forward, you're moving faster than when you're sprinting laterally, and you're moving faster still laterally than when you're sprinting backward. But there is like a separate animation for it, which is pretty cool, but your camera always stays locked forward. That's what sprinting backwards means, because if you turn your camera around and then continue moving in that direction, obviously, you'd just be sprinting forward.
Yeah.
But one of the big things I was concerned with was, would I be able to tell someone sprinting backwards if I'm looking at them? Yes. So wherever your camera is facing is where your character's eyes are looking and where their like gun and torso are pointed as well. So it's not going to be the case, like I was worried about, that someone would be sprinting away from you but looking right at you. You'll know if someone's looking at you. That's really good. So it looks like it's handled actually quite well. And basically your like shoulders and eyeballs and head are tied to your right stick, whereas your left stick controls your feet. So if everything's going like forward, then you're just going forward. But if you're, you know, looking forward and then you're moving backwards, yeah, your character like backpedals and you can like sprint backpedal. And then they're going to talk about this as we go here. But this also translates to sliding and diving. So you can slide backwards. You can dive. I don't know about slide, actually. We'll maybe see. But you can dive backwards. And it does also put you in a brand new position where you are, in fact, sitting on your butt.
Yeah, it shows your
and
little
then they
legs.
explicitly showcase a section where the guy is just sitting down on his butt, but the player is like moving left to right, and you can see the character model's torso twisting. So you know exactly where they're looking and where they're aiming. So this is handled really well. This was my concern about this Omnimovement stuff, and I think it looks great, actually, and really cool.
So, yeah, this, I think, could be a little hit or miss. It looks cool, but there are definitely things I'm worried about. Number one, I pointed this out in Discord, tracking people. Depends how it's handled. We don't know. If somebody can basically go from a full right sprint to come to a almost dead stop and start sprinting back to the left again, that's going to be really hard to track people. Not trying to make a aim assist K-BAM argument at all here, but I'm just saying that for K-BAM players will be extremely difficult to track somebody if they're sprinting left and right. That would totally be a controller dominated game. And unfortunately, this is coming to Warzone, by the way. So yeah, there will probably be more details on that soon. Maybe we'll get more into that on Saturday. But I guess this was confirmed to be coming to Warzone, not in this direct video, but through content creators. I think Charlie Intel confirmed it, that the movement is being integrated into Warzone. So that's my worry. But it seems cool. I don't know. There are just so many little things. Like, does your sprint run out really quickly if you're sprinting left to right or backwards, and then you kind of just get stuck like in a walking animation? I do have some worries about this though, for sure. So we'll have to wait and see more info on it, or actually probably at COD Next when people actually play it.
Yes, that is true. And those are good concerns to have, because like we talk about this game fairly often. There's a game called Tarkov, and one thing Tarkov has to kind of mitigate this unnatural movement, where you can just be sprinting full speed with like 80 pounds of gear in your backpack, and then on a dime stop your character. That's not possible in real life. You can't just be sprinting full speed with extra like weight in your backpack and then just stop. There's something called inertia. You're going to have to like slow down. Just like a car, you can stop your car more quickly if you're going 10 miles an hour than if you're going 200 miles an hour. It takes some time. That's inertia. So will this movement system have some inertia? In other words, will I be able to be sprinting right, and then as soon as I press left, start going left immediately? Or is there going to be some kind of like slowdown and then sway back left?
Yeah.
We don't know. Should there be? Yes, absolutely. Because it's going to look insane and feel insane and be very difficult to shoot people if you can just full sprint left and right and there's no delay between direction change. So like when you're ADS strafing, there isn't a delay. You can immediately go left and then right. And we used to abuse this in BO4, especially with like a stock attachment. You would just go left and right, and it would cause people to miss shots a lot. And that was way slower than sprinting. So is there going to be some kind of slowdown or inertia type system? We don't know. Honestly, I suspect there will be, because it's going to look so jarring if not, that I think they would have already realized it's too goofy and it's just impossible to play against. K-BAM versus controller, like that's a good point. But even on controller, if someone's like sprinting left and right and they're like kind of far away, even with aim assist, that would be kind of hard to track. So I think this would be a problem for everyone if there were no inertia or anything. So I'm not as worried as you are, but it is possible they botched this. Yeah.
I'm more worried about, they probably will have something. So if you're sprinting right and you want to go back left, you'll just be automatically put in like an ADS walking animation or something. Because the video, when he's sprinting left to right, he was ADS too, right? So you can ADS and shoot while sprinting sideways?
He was not ADS.
Was he not
go back
ADS?
and check. I'm not sure, but I don't think he was. I think he was just in like a low ready.
The most signature Black Ops
right
experience.
Well, in that
for
dive backwards, he did. So you can
Movement has
ADS
been a
while diving
consistent area of
backwards.
focus and innovation for Call of Duty. And with Black Ops 6, we're redefining movement across the entire game.
I guess he
For the
wasn't
first time
ADS.
ever, players can sprint in any direction.
Because that's something else I was wondering too. I'm like, I'm assuming they're going to let you. Oh, maybe not.
I don't think they're going to let you ADS and sprint. No.
Because I was thinking they would let you
while moving forward right now. So.
Yeah, that's true. But side to side, it makes more sense that you can have your gun up the way you're moving your legs, basically. Like if they're trying to make it any sort of like based off real life, then that would make a lot more sense. I don't know. Okay. If you can't ADS, then I really don't care. But I feel like you're going to be able to ADS. Because I was like thinking, I wonder if you can ADS, but there's just going to be bloom when you shoot. Or your gun's going to be less accurate. Some weird mechanic like that.
If you can ADS and sprint while strafing, I imagine the way they would balance that is you just move slower. So it's still faster than a regular ADS walk strafe, but it's still slower than an un-ADS'd sprint strafe.
Yeah.
It's like in the middle, if it's possible at all. which yeah, we don't actually
global
know for
system
sure.
we call Omnimovement.
Well, it looks kind of like it right here, right? Hold on.
For the first time ever, players can sprint in any
When the
direction
two little
and
character
move like a
models are
true
side to
Black Ops
side.
action hero with an entirely new global system we
That it looks like you can't
okay.
ADS.
It looks like you can't, because on, you're not ADSing, your barrel's pointed in the direction
Yeah,
you're
hopefully
sprinting.
that's the case. Okay.
So yeah, it seems like you
If
won't
that's
be
the
able
case,
to.
then I don't think this will be an issue at all. And yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see more
So-
gameplay from it. All right.
So yeah, let's continue the video here.
call Omnimovement.
And yeah, every
This
time they do a
unlocks the
dive
ability
and
to
shoot,
move like never
it's
before
towards the end of
and
the dive.
seamlessly chain combat maneuvers like
That the
slide,
ADS is happening.
dive,
Yeah,
and our
like halfway
enhanced
through.
supine prone in full 360 degrees range of motion.
From the beginning, we started with you can't
So
do
that
this.
was really cool too, by the way. It shows the character
From the beginning, we started with you
in
can't do
a oh sorry, let me go back more.
And move like a true Black Ops action hero with an entirely new global system we call Omnimovement. This unlocks
just
the
seeing them
ability to
dive
move
and
like
shoot.
never before and seamlessly chain combat
And then
maneuvers
there's
like
one
slide,
section here.
dive, and our enhanced
That.
So right here, the character is prone and like aiming forward, and then they're not moving their left stick at all. They're just rotating their right stick to look behind them while prone. And with omnidirection, instead of like your whole body twisting, it shows the difference with off versus on. You go from a prone to sitting on your butt so that you can look behind you, basically, without moving where your head is, basically. I think that's pretty cool and pretty interesting.
I do too.
supine prone in full
One of those things too where
360 degrees range of motion.
that's
Like,
good
that's
for
really
Warzone.
cool.
Trying to like snipe somebody who's downed and or like like laying prone in Warzone right now, they can basically start twisting and it's hard to track their head, but that's gonna kind of take care
Yeah.
of that issue. They're just spinning on
Exactly.
the ground. But yeah, okay.
Yeah, so let's move on.
from the beginning, we started with you can't do this thing. Why? And then realized
here they
people
glaze
actually move that
themselves.
way. What happens if we get rid of that construct? And then instantly it opened up like, oh, if you can sprint in any direction, then you can dive in any direction. You could slide in any direction.
You can also
which
change
then
your
led
direction
to
while
all
you're
the on the
diving.
ground movement
Uh-huh.
and everything else chaining together.
And it looks really good in this trailer.
Yeah, the actual like animations look great
It's
for
really
it.
been something
They
that
do,
changes how
and they
you
look
think
natural.
and play the game.
It, like,
whether it's
reminds me of
campaign,
Infinity
MP, or
Ward,
zombies.
um,
We truly
animations.
believe that once you experience Omnimovement,
Yeah.
there's no going back.
Human shield, you see that?
Yeah,
It's supposed to be a mechanic.
We also have
Okay.
what we're calling intelligent movement, which is a set of features that drastically reduces how many buttons or keys you're pressing to perform various movements. These can be enabled in player options, and they're broken down into 3 categories: sprint assist, mantle assist, and crouch assist.
No,
And
bro's
each
got
of
aim
these settings
assist
will
and
allow
mantle
for
assist.
fine-tuning.
Nah.
Intelligent movement really started
Baby
with this
game.
idea that we want all players to focus on what they want to do and not how to do it.
Okay, so this made me laugh when I saw it at the first time. I already am mantling things when I don't want to all the time. I will never, ever be turning any of this on. Where you just auto slide under things when you approach a low wall or something, or you auto mantle something just by running it up to it without a button press. See ya,
Yeah.
pass.
This will be
It's
an
cool
off
that
for
they're
me.
adding it, to be fair, because there are a lot of like very casual players that don't want to be like mashing A constantly to like run through whatever, an obstacle course. But for all of you listening who want to be competitive, you will keep all of this off for sure. Absolutely. I want to do things explicitly when I tell the game I want
Yeah,
to do
you want to
things.
control it yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, just to be clear. Anyway, by the way, that was pretty much it for the omnidirectional, unless I'm forgetting something they talk about later. So, that is what got the most discussion, was that omnidirectional movement thing. And there's been a ton of talk on Twitter about it. And a lot of people are saying it looks cool. some people are a little worried. Some people are saying it's cheesy, which I don't really understand. Because if anything, it's more cheesy not having this system. Like for the reasons Tanner said, for example, where like if you're prone and you just start spinning in a circle, your character will just like breakdance in a way that defies physics. And it makes it really like, it looks terrible because it's wildly unrealistic looking. And also it does make it harder to shoot people or get headshots or whatever. And now you move in a way more realistic way. That's way easier to predict and track because people move like real life people. So I don't see where the cheese comes into it at all. And there's already talk about how, oh, I can't wait till this gets GA'd day one, like making fun of the CDL players. And it would be really a shame if this did get GA'd, I think. Because I also don't think it is that... So, mechanically, gameplay-wise, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal, to be honest with you. I don't think it is going to change much about how anyone is playing the game, and I don't think it's going to invite new movement tech, or not much of it anyway. Like, I don't think this is going to be as dramatic of a shift in gameplay and meta movement or something as some people are making it sound, because I don't see it. It's not like there's going to be some new slide cancel from this. I don't see how
somebody
that's
will
possible.
certainly figure something out. Yeah. I fully disagree. I think it'll change a lot. Like even like jumping, so diving around a corner and being able to like dive and start ADSing and aiming to your right when you jump around something, like that's entirely different. Like that'll completely change the way multiplayer plays. I can see myself using that all the time. Like think shipment, every single person, instead of running or sliding around a corner, they do a dive and they're shooting mid-dive at you around a corner. I think it'll be entirely different. I think multiplayer will play so much different. That's
true, but it depends on how soon I'm ADS'd in that dive. Because based on the clips we saw in this direct, you don't really enter ADS until you're well past the apex of your jump. So if that's the case, I'd probably rather just slide that corner and I can be shooting that whole time. But if I can be ADS just as quickly as if I slide, then yeah, that is relevant. Or if you can build like a... Because there are certainly going to be new attachment types that help with...
Exactly.
Like right now we have like tack stance spread bonus underbarrels, right? There are certainly going to be like dive accuracy enhancing foregrips. Like for sure. So if those are common on like sprint to fire and aim down sight speed attachments, then I could see that being relevant. Yeah. So maybe you're right. I mean, that's one example. That's a good example, actually, that I think could possibly change things. And I welcome it, to be fair. But I think I'm not sure how relevant that's going to end up being.
But if
it is, that would be good. It wouldn't be cheesy, I guess, is more my point, or more what I was trying to say. I think it would just be cool. An additional, like, so now I can B-hop, slide, or dive a corner, or slow peek it, or corner peek it, which we'll get into. That's just good. That's like more ways to take a corner than we've ever really had. Because we've really gone from like, this game only has B-hopping corners. This game only has sliding corners. This game has both, kind of. Haven't had that in a long time. So if we got another one, diving, that would be awesome. And you're right, that would actually be pretty, like, transformative. Like, that would be a new tech. But I don't know if it's going to be that good. But it might be. So, fair point on that. But also, I don't think that's cheesy like a lot of people are, that I'm seeing anyway, are worried about. You know what I mean? I think it's just good. It's an additional option. It's more skill gap. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I'm very interested to see how it all plays out at COD next.
Yeah. Definitely.
But I would say I'm more worried about this system in general, mostly when it comes to Warzone, than I am excited about it. It's cool looking now, but I can just see this like being detrimental to the game, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it. I like having more ways to take like a corner. That's what we've wanted. Unless it's like insanely overpowered or something. Which again, I guess is possible. I don't know. We'll see. Let's continue the video nonetheless.
We want every player, regardless of skill level or input or experience with Call of Duty, to be able to engage with Omnimovement.
So here we're talking about again the like climb assist, slide assist settings you'll turn off. That's a crazy slide.
We looked at other genres like racing games where they have these great assist settings that can be turned on and off. Things like traction control or assisted braking. And we really love the idea of taking that thinking and applying it to our own movement options. I don't think this is a one-size-fits-all thing, and I encourage players to play around with combos of these settings to really dial in their preferred setup.
Was that the human shield thing? Is that why he was shooting weird? I think it was.
Yeah, I think so.
Huh, okay.
So yeah, I don't think they ever actually explicitly talk about it because I watched this whole thing and I was paying a lot of attention and I didn't even remember the human shield thing, so they didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
But they showed some clips where you like have a human shield. You're holding some guy in front of you and shooting past him. This won't matter.
Imagine how embarrassing that'll be.
Even if it's a feature in multiplayer, this will absolutely. Yeah, that would be hilarious. Yeah. Even if this is in multiplayer, this will not matter. It'll be the equivalent of the blind fire mechanic in Vanguard. There's not going to be like a like a skill gap to taking human shields. Because here's the thing. If I can get behind an enemy closely enough to human shield them, then that person's terrible. Everyone on their team is terrible, and I'm just going to kill them instead. Duh. This is dumb. So.
Incoming camo challenge: get 50 headshots while holding somebody as a human shield in multiplayer.
That would be a disaster.
Imagine like 1v3ing or 1v4ing some bad team in Warzone, and you stun one of them, grab them as a human shield, and then just push the rest of their team.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
So. Anyway, so I'm going to rewind just a little bit because they're moving on to another section that's really interesting.
Their preferred setup. Hit zones are regions on a character that react when taking damage or dying. In past games, we've only had 4 regions. For Black Ops 6, we've actually increased that to 9 regions, so now we can determine if that enemy was shot in their left leg or right leg, and then we'll play a bespoke death animation depending on that location that they were hit. So world connectivity is this concept that players' movement and reactions are connected to the world based on their choices. A great example that really shines is a global feature we call corner slicing, where as you round a corner or go through a doorway, your weapon's gonna dynamically rotate in the direction that you're rounding that corner. And since it's dynamic, it'll be a bit more dramatic if you're slowly clearing a room, but won't affect you at all if you're barreling full speed around that same corner.
Okay. This was really interesting to me too, and I didn't see that much talk about it. But what they call corner slicing or leaning your gun, or whatever they said, basically, if you're ADS'd and you're approaching a corner, your character will auto lean in the direction of the corner. And the slower you're going, the more like obvious it is. And if you just like sprint through it, then obviously it doesn't matter at all. This happens dynamically, which is to say automatically. And I don't know how I feel about it, but I think it's fine. So one thing we've had for, I think since MW2, that Tanner and I and no one else talked about was the head like bobbing that character models have now. To where if you like strafe left, your character will like dip their head left a lot, and it makes sniping pretty annoying. Because on my screen, my head is not dipping left at all. But when other players are trying to snipe me, my head is in a position that my own POV does not reflect. That like pissed me off. This kind of was reminiscent of that to me, where it's like, okay, character models are moving. But now it seems like it will be reflected in that own player's POV, which is better. I think this is kind of cool. It certainly looks cool. I don't know how gameplay relevant it'll be. I'd have to like really play with it a lot, and I don't know if it's really that interesting or good, but I also don't really see it being very bad. I don't see really any downsides to it. Just a weird choice, but it does look cool.
I'm assuming this is going to be a setting on or off. This is something I would turn off, because even just think about how you're used to coming around a corner ADS, like say in Warzone, you hear somebody, your ADS, let's say you're at a building. If this setting is on, just the slight head tilt is going to move your dot on your optic a little bit off center, and that would entirely throw me off. So, like, yeah, me personally, this is something I would not use. Because, yeah, it doesn't really help you a whole lot. I could see this being good for, honestly, really bad players that play very slow in multiplayer, like the protected lobbies where they walk around ADS the whole time. It's cool for them, but ultimately, I think if you're good at the game, like a lot of these settings, I think you'll just want them off, to be honest. I don't think it's not going to help you in any way. I think it could just slightly harm you, if anything.
Yeah, because for
just
sniping,
like tilting that angle, that optic a little bit throws somebody off.
Yeah, and it also lowers your it lowers your center. So like so let's say you're peeking a right angle or a right corner. Your character leans right a little bit. So that means where your point of aim is going right a little bit, but more importantly for like sniping, it's also going down a little bit. So if I'm playing Warzone and there's a guy in a window and I see his glint, I will very often just be like, okay, I know exactly where this guy is. And I'll like aim at him and then go behind the wall. And then I'll ADS myself. And then I will simply just strafe out. And the moment I'm out of cover, my dot is on his head.
Yeah.
Because I know where he is. And the center dot on my screen is not moving right or down, more importantly. But if there's leaning, well, then all of a sudden I'm going to like lean out and I'm going to lose the headshot. I'm going to shoot him in like the shoulder or just miss him entirely. That could be bad. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. These things are fine in the game for me as long as there's a setting to turn them off. If the game forces you into a lean anytime you ADS around a corner, that is a miserable gameplay design. But I don't think it'll be like that. I'm almost certain these things will have settings, which is great.
Yeah. I tend to agree. So, let's continue.
We were constantly looking for opportunities to
shotguns
set the
look
bar
good, man.
with movement and animations.
They
in Black
love
Ops
shotguns
6.
in this. Yeah.
Who's this?
Whoa.
Take cover.
Our art team is super thrilled to show you the best looking characters that we've done.
Oh, art department. Okay.
Through our process of photogrammetry, gear was acquired, scanned, and incorporated onto each of our operatives. For our faces, a dynamic real-time analysis of spontaneous performances was captured and processed to make every emotional, impactful moment true to actual life.
So they're showing their mocap process, basically.
It's interesting
now.
seeing that.
Cuticles and make sure that they don't look like they're just freshly cut.
You don't
There's
realize how
dirt
much
in
work
between
goes
their
into that
nails,
stuff.
and the oils in their palms as they're sweaty and running through situations that they're in. We're paying attention to every detail.
So that section implies to me they go into a great level, they have a lot to say about the effort they went to do motion capture, have realistic looking animations, have the gear be placed on the character in a realistic looking way, blah, 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 and the weapons and the weapon animations and stuff. And I will say, for a Treyarch game, the weapon animations look better than I've ever seen and better than I expected. Now, this isn't necessarily gameplay footage we're seeing here, so maybe they won't be as good in multiplayer or whatever. But based on this, it looks like Infinity Ward levels of
Yep.
Like weapon animations, reload animations, firing animations, etc. And I think the degree to which they went out of their way to talk about it in this little showcase implies to me that they are paying a lot more attention to that stuff than they have in the past. Whereas like with Cold War, and pretty much every Treyarch game in my mind, they pay a lot more attention to their world and their maps and their kind of color palette and stuff and the vibrancy, but a lot less attention to weapon animations, firing animations, reload animations, and even like weapon sounds. And the gunplay itself as a result can feel kind of stiff or boring or unrealistic.
Stiff is a great word to describe it.
Yeah, Cold War is a great example of this, especially coming off of MW19, where that weapon animations and stuff were really good, really cool. It felt like I was reloading it. And then in Cold War, it felt like a toy. It was like, oh, okay. And it sounded like one too. This section implies to me that that will not be the case this year, which is cool.
Well, that's
really cool, actually.
This is a factor too of all the Call of Duty games being built on one engine as well. So Treyarch games are no longer built on a separate engine. So this is something a lot of Treyarch fanboys were worried about, like, oh, it's going to feel like an MW game. But as you can see from the gameplay, it looks like it's going to be very similar to Cold War in the way of just the UI, the way it's played. But it looks and will have that same feel in some regard as an Infinity Ward game, but it'll feel like what you want in a Treyarch game. So I think, like people get worried about that stuff, but I think the unified engine they do now is a great idea. Also, you can see here where we're paused, you're getting fast mags back again.
Oh yeah, you're right. The taped mags.
Yeah.
That's a good little,
Today's episode is brought to you by our Patreon, where we offer our members all of our episodes early access and ad-free. Starting at just $5 a month at the gold tier, patrons also get 3 raw, uncensored Call of Duty bonus episodes every month, in addition to every bonus episode we've ever done in the past, and a unique Discord role as well. If you've been thinking of joining the Patreon, this is a great time because free trials are now live. Sign up at any tier and receive a 7-day free trial. Yes, this includes Platinum and Damascus, which we've never done before. Our Damascus Hangout is this Friday, June 14th, 6:30 p.m., and even free trial Damascus patrons can join in on the fun with some Modern Warfare 3 customs. Hop in Discord and link your Patreon account to get access. Our first bonus episode this month was a Warzone Season 4 strategy guide. Urzikstan, as you guys know, it has changed a lot. More players, fewer regain mechanics. The game requires a different approach to do well. We go into depth for what is working well for us. So at $10 a month, Platinum gets you everything I mentioned from the gold tier, alongside one Q&A episode where you guys can ask the questions or hear the answers. Damascus is $20 a month, gets all of that, plus a behind-the-scenes episode every month, and the Damascus-only hangout I just mentioned, alongside, of course, the Damascus Lounge and Discord. For $50 a month, you can join at the Obsidian tier, limited to only 10 people for nothing extra beyond Damascus other than the bragging rights, a black name in Discord, and access to the Obsidian Skybox channel in Discord. Of course, you get our gratitude as well. At the time of this recording, we have 2 Obsidian slots open. Sign up, give us your money. If you hate hearing this ad, sign up for our Patreon. Now let's get back to the show.
The thing that I'm most excited about is the number of new weapons from the era that we've added, which includes many that are brand new to the franchise. Our heroes are rogue operatives, and they operate outside the normal playbook. That means they're procuring gear by any means necessary, and it allowed us to pull a unique...
This guy's the
PM
cutest
pistol.
dev
I know,
at
he's
Treyarch,
adorable.
by the way. I loved him.
We made sure to deliver dozens
Maxwell.
of unique...
That's a great looking
attachments
optic
for every
right there,
gun,
that
and
hollow.
This allows the players to create a
it is.
weapon to match any playstyle that you can imagine, all while maintaining the feel and tone of the era.
He's nervous.
Yeah, he's super nervous.
Maxwell is shaking.
In Black Ops 6, we really strive for striking that balance between real
Great
and
last name,
hyper-real,
Chubb.
but we want to ground our effects in realism. We find real-world reference so that we can match that motion, the weight, the timing, then riff off of that and create that hyper-real look that everybody has come to know and love from Call of Duty.
Whoa. Oh, the HUD.
The Black Ops 6 user experience is all about focusing players on what they need when they need it.
This is dope.
And our in-game HUD is no different. From the mini-map to the ammo widget.
There's some actual gameplay.
Yeah, so here's some gameplay, and we have a look at the HUD for the first time. Let me be clear, and this isn't a bad thing, the HUD is exactly the same as Cold War.
It looks exactly the same. Yeah, it is.
It's the same font. It's the same. The metal icons are literally exactly the same. The names of the medals are almost all the same, all the ones I could tell, by the way. Anyway. The medals are exactly the same in the same color. They appear for the same amount of time with the same animation and are gone in the same way. It looks exactly like Cold War, the HUD, the UI, which I am totally fine with. The Cold War UI looked good to me. It looked really good. That was one of the first things we talked. I said, I believe, after the Cold War beta was I really like how the medals look. I really like how the UI looks. It's clean. It's clear. It's bold. I don't know. I just like the HUD style. If you liked it in Cold War, you'll like it in BO6 because it's literally the same thing.
It looks like an old school HUD too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something else here on the left. I'm trying to think. Have all multiplayer games recently? Does it show your friendly like dots through the walls like that? I'm trying to think if all the games have done that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure, but that's something you noticed
right there, right?
Or the
and in the mini map, look at the mini map, the little blue arrow in their direction.
Yeah.
I wonder if it only pings them because they're shooting loud guns.
I'm not seeing a compass at the top either, by the way.
Which is a W. Let's stop doing the compass.
There's a compass on the mini map, somewhat. Yeah. I wonder if they're changing all that then.
I'd much prefer it that way.
Well, you can customize your HUD now, man. Let's get into it.
For best designs in a clean, streamlined experience.
Oh, that was
for the first time in Call of Duty,
AI friends.
Players will be able to change their HUD in dramatic ways to suit their needs. For instance, streamers can choose a layout optimized for their setup, or maybe you want your HUD centered so you don't have to look away. Want to play hardcore anywhere, or finally put the minimap in the bottom left? Those are options as well. Not only does the HUD give players important status, it connects them to the world and helps them feel rewarded for being awesome. As players track that elusive challenge or target their next level unlock, Black Ops 6 delivers an end-to-end experience from the lobby into combat and back, where...
Okay, so for those of you just listening, the HUD is truly actually completely and totally customizable. So I saw the mini-map in the top left, I saw it in the top right, I saw it at the bottom center. You can move it wherever you want. I also saw the ammo count half of an inch away from your center reticle dot.
Yeah.
So you can put any element of the HUD anywhere you want, and you can resize it. I saw a small mini map and I saw a gigantic one. So I don't think that changes how much of your, obviously it doesn't change how much of the mini map's actually functional. It just scales it. But this is good. This is just good.
This is awesome. Yeah.
Because one thing I always do is I bring in my HUD bounds as much as I can, which is like an inch from the bottom left of my screen. So it's still far away because I have a 27 inch, 240 hertz IPS panel. But now I could put that wherever I want. And I'm actually curious where I'm going to end up putting that stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Now I'll have to think about it.
Yeah.
You could put it literally anywhere.
You might have to change that all
from
up.
your HUD.
I know, man.
So you're right. If there is going to be that top compass that takes up the whole top of your screen, I can just delete it from my HUD, which I will be doing if that is in the game, but it doesn't look like it is.
It looks like there are so many options, like besides moving things around, like you can customize, because also in one of the little, for like a second in one of the clips, on the top of his mini map was a big number that was changing as he turned. So like it was showing your compass, direction
Your
too.
cardinal direction?
Yeah, it was like going
Yeah.
104, then he started spinning, it said 105, 106. That would be fantastic for something like Warzone as well. Super easy to read, huge, just big, bold numbers. You can say there's a guy 300. So easy to read rather than, let me look up at my compass. I can't tell what it's at. I can't just say west because it's at some weird in-between number. Give me about 2 seconds to figure out where this guy is, you know?
Yep.
Things like that.
And that happens all the time right now. You're right. Yeah.
So that's cool.
Really cool.
Great customization option.
One thing this makes me wonder is, what else on the UI will be customizable? For example, this was my first thought. For example, if someone calls a precision airstrike on me, can I move where that notification comes up now? Finally, I will buy the Vault. I'll upgrade to the Vault Edition as soon as I realize I can do that, if it's possible. If I can move that banner off the middle of my screen, or, oh, there's a fire sale event, woo, let me put that right on where your reticle is. If I can move that and make it smaller, I am going to be thrilled. But we don't know if we can change those things yet.
Imagine we get none of this in Warzone. You can't customize anything.
Well, I can imagine. So, by the way, I've also paused on the gunsmith. This is something they don't really talk about in this video, so we're not really going to talk about it yet either. On Saturday, as Tanner already mentioned, we're going to go into everything we learned about Black Ops 6 that was like shown, but not talked about.
Yeah.
So for example, they're showing the gunsmith here, and we can learn a lot from this screenshot, but they don't talk about any of it.
Mm-hmm.
So we can see that there are 10 attachment slots. We don't know how many you can fill, or maybe we do. We're going to research it before Saturday. I think we can see that there is weapon prestiging. They don't talk about it, but you can see that that's possible. So things like that, little nuggets that are learned about but not explicitly talked about here, that is what we're going to reserve for Saturday.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. But anyway, let's move on.
Player progress and achievement are celebrated in a big way.
See that UI in the lobby
Look
screen?
at the lobby screen, yeah.
Classic Treyarch lobby screen.
All right, well settled. Audio's good. Everybody's happy, Jeff. Lawrence Smith.
Oh, I know this guy from Twitter. Yeah.
Early on in Black
All
Ops
this guy.
6's development, we set a goal to make leveling and XP matter more than
It's a
ever.
dope office, by the
Looking
way.
back through the Call of Duty and Black
Look at
Ops
those
catalog,
greens.
there's a lot of love, both internally
Lots
at
of
Treyarch
green.
and that we
Very
see in our
green greens.
community for how we used to handle prestige.
Whoa. Was the leak true?
Traditional prestige is back in Call of Duty with Black Ops 6.
Wow.
We've pulled the best of the best from past Call of Duty prestige systems and are going bigger and more rewarding than ever. Players who reach max player level will have the choice to enter prestige, start fresh with relocked gear, and go through the leveling journey again. Black Ops 6 will have 10 prestiges, each with a valuable set of rewards to earn and equip to peacock your status. Players who make it through Prestige 10 aren't done. Instead, they'll graduate into Prestige Master with 1,000 additional levels to climb through.
Oh my gosh.
And a
Little Cerberus
classified reward
icon.
to uncover for anyone dedicated enough to make it all the way to the end. The full Prestige system is available on day one in Black Ops 6.
Huge.
Okay, that part actually pissed me off because he made it sound like it's such a big deal that it's available day one. Can you imagine if they said, we're bringing Classic Prestige back, but you can't Prestige until Season 2?
Yeah.
Like, obviously, it's going to be
Well, they just wanted to
available
make
day
it
one.
clear since everyone's level locked at 55 for 1 month into the game usually. So they just wanted to make it clear that you can level past 55.
I see. Okay. Well, that's good. Yeah. So,
I didn't think it was
we
ever
already
coming
talked
back,
about
to be
this.
honest.
The leak is true. Prestige is back, and it's being handled basically so far exactly like BO4. BO4 had 10 prestiges and then Prestige Master and then 1,000 levels. And then if you got to level 1,000, you get a new thing or a secret thing or whatever.
Yo, what was that, a
that's
calling
cool.
card or something?
I don't remember. I think so. Yeah. So, one thing they mentioned there is we're going bigger and more rewarding than ever. That's where I wonder what they mean. But they probably just mean a bunch of other cosmetic stuff you can get besides the emblems and calling cards that you already get for prestiging or have gotten for classic prestiging, like in BO4. Because it must mean more than just emblems and calling cards and prestige challenges, because we already got those things in BO4. So if they're going bigger and more rewarding, then there's going to be more than that. I do wonder what that could be, but that's cool. It's good. I'm happy about it.
Yeah,
I
maybe
just wonder what it is.
Maybe it's like every time you prestige, you get more like tokens or whatever to essentially unlock items, and maybe they've just given a lot more things you can choose to unlock. Because like things like gestures are supposed to be coming back to this game. Maybe it's going to be something like you can unlock this like only if you hit prestige and you use your prestige token on this gesture, something like that. They could do a lot with it, so it could mean anything like that. But that's cool, yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Not much else to say other than this is good. So let's move on.
God, they do love shotguns.
Yeah, they really do.
The death animations do look great, by the way, with the new hit system.
Multiplayer.
We know how many of our players look forward to multiplayer, and we will be providing a deep dive on it later in the year. For now, here's some insight into our development of Black Ops 6 multiplayer. Our vision since day one has been to craft an approachable and engaging step change of that signature Black Ops multiplayer experience. We focused on supporting 3 core playstyles for launch. Enforcers are the slayers who like to kill and stay on the move. Recon is all about intel and counter-intel play. And strategists are support players who throw their bodies at objectives for the win, or focus on taking out enemy score streaks for the team.
Great looking gunplay, by the way.
All of our weapons, gear, and gadgets in multiplayer have been intentionally designed through that lens of supporting these play styles. And of course, it wouldn't be a Black Ops game if you can't relive those action hero moments in theater mode, which we're happy to announce is returning with Black Ops 6.
Okay, so a couple things. First of all, before we talk about theater mode, the 3 play styles, and we cater the game to these 3 play styles. They've said this, I swear, for every game that's come out since MW19.
Yeah, then you
and
just
none
shut
of
up.
It actually means anything. It doesn't matter. There are going to be perks that are better for if you're an objective player versus if you are just trying to kill people. Like, okay, I don't know why they create these archetypes and like give so much lip service to them when they don't actually exist in the game. Like in MW19, it was a big thing, and everyone made fun of Joe Apricot for the Sentinel being one of the archetypes they like geared their game toward for MW19. But I mean, what does that actually mean? What did that actually mean in MW19? I don't know. There were perks that were like good for camping. Like, okay. Like obviously there are going to be. So that little archetype thing or play style or whatever, that's not going to functionally matter at all. But it is good that they didn't say there's going to be a Sentinel game style that we're going to cater to. That's like one sort of silver lining, but there are still going to be things that are good to take if you camp. I think with this game, what they are talking about, like they're saying in chat, that is true. There's some sort of system. I don't know if they're going to say it here or if it was just other info, but it was something like if you choose all perks from the same category, you get to choose a 4th perk. So they're probably going to have kind of perks based on your play style per category, maybe. So like choosing them all from one category, like maybe like perk slot 1, all the perks you can pick for that will be geared towards like things like movement speed, quick mobility, ADS times. So maybe if somebody wants to go full blown fast movement, they get rewarded by then choosing a 4th perk. If they choose their first 3 from slot 1, then they're like, okay, you get a 4th perk option. Then there was something like that. Maybe they're about to talk about it right here. I'm not sure, but I know I was reading about that. Okay. If that's true, then the archetype thing will matter, but we will talk about that on Saturday. Because there are other people who have additional info that comes from outside of this video, and we're going to dedicate Saturday's episode to that. So if that is the case, we'll talk about that on Saturday. But for now, we're just covering kind of what's the info that's in here.
I said we're only getting a taste of MP.
Oh yeah, so they also mentioned theater mode a little bit. So we are getting theater mode back. Okay. I don't know. I mean, cool. Yeah, I'm glad it's confirmed. We didn't really get any preview of what theater mode actually looks like, but we are getting it in multiplayer. We also don't know if we're getting it in Warzone yet. People had commented on our last video that there was a theater mode for Blackout as well as for multiplayer in BO4, which is the last time we had theater mode in a game.
Yeah.
So that makes it more possible, more likely that it will also be coming to Warzone, because they're integrating a lot of this stuff into Warzone, including like the Omni movement and stuff. If we saw theater mode come to Warzone, then I would be much more excited than I am now. But we don't know if it is or not.
Yeah, I would love it too. I would use that all the time in Warzone, but really doubt it's happening. Because also Blackout was a part of BO4. You had to, Blackout was just a game mode in Black Ops 4. Warzone is a totally separate game. I don't think they'll do it. Warzone also has 100 times the player base Blackout did, so I just don't think it's possible, honestly.
Yeah, I lean toward that, but I'm not writing it off necessarily.
Yeah, dude, that would be so cool, though.
That would be sick, yeah. If it worked. So anyway.
Today, but of course that means you're going to get some early details on maps.
We're happy to announce that we will be launching with 16 all-new MP maps. We've got 12 core 6v6 and 4 strike maps, which can be played as 6v6 or 2v2. What do players like? What do we know that they want? So we're back to our classic 3-lane maps. We've got fast, frenetic experiences, and we have that balance with more medium size, like better for hardcore pacing to keep the action flowing, but still have meaningful decisions for the player to make. The maps have their own stories, and we have multiplayer taking place after the campaign, after you finish it. So don't want to get into too many spoilers there, but you'll experience some of those locations through the multiplayer lens.
So that's cool. As a quick note, I think I saw someone implying that means they're going to make you beat the campaign before you can play multiplayer. That there's no shot that's true. What she means is the multiplayer settings take place after the campaign, if it's tied to the campaign, like cosmetically.
Yeah, what? Who said that? Where'd you see that? Twitter?
Some Twitter person, I don't know.
That's the most insane thing I've ever heard.
You're not going to have to beat campaign, so relax. And then, so 16 all new maps, meaning no remasters on launch. Okay. All 3-lane, or primarily 3-lane. Okay. And then there are some medium maps, some smaller maps, and then some even smaller maps called strike maps. And the last time we had strike maps was in Cold War, as far as I remember. And these were very small subsets of the, what was that? Combined arms maps. And without fail, every strike map was really good in Cold War. I enjoyed all of them.
I don't remember.
Even if the combined arms maps were terrible. You don't remember them? Yeah, look them up, because they were all really good. So I am not worried about the maps at all. I think they're going to be, by and large, quite good. I don't really care if they're remasters or not, as long as they are good maps. That's what I want. And with Treyarch specifically, I have every confidence that they can create a good original new map. So I'm not worried that these are going to be bad maps by and large, especially because they explicitly said they're 3-lane maps. And they didn't mention big once. They said there are medium maps and small maps. Perfect. Great. That's exactly what we want. If I want to play on a big map, I'm going to go play Warzone. I want small maps and medium maps. That's what it sounds like we're getting. So I think the maps are going to be great. And I'm not worried about it at all. I would be shocked if the maps are bad, or on the whole even bad. I don't think that's going to be the case. One question I do have, a couple questions I have. One I forgot is, are we getting Tac Sprint back? We don't know. We're going to look into it more and talk about it on Saturday. I don't care if we get it back or not. If we get it back, fine. If we don't, also fine. I'm not super attached to tac sprint one way or the other. I don't really care. I think it's interesting and it adds an additional skill gap. But if you don't have it, I'm not going to miss it that much. I don't think it is that crazy. But there's one thing that we might talk about more on Saturday because people are saying different things on the timeline right now. And then another question I have is, are we getting anything like Ground War or Combined Arms or anything like that? They don't talk about it here.
Yeah.
And I have not seen anything on Twitter about this. Again, we will look more into this before Saturday, but I haven't seen any word on that. And I don't know if I mind at this point, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, Ground War actually has not been good at all since MW19, so I don't care anymore either. Yeah, it was really, and it was really good that one time, and since then it's never been good at all. So, yeah. Yeah, the tac sprint thing, it sounds like we're getting it, but I don't know. We'll talk more about it on Saturday.
Yeah. So, anyway, let's move on.
We've covered a lot today, but couldn't leave you without giving you just one more thing.
Zombies.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Whoa.
Zombies.
Round-based Zombies is back, and we're picking up the Dark Aether storyline where we left it. We're excited to announce that there will be 2 brand new maps available at launch, with a curated mix of fan-favorite features and new elements to discover. For those new to Zombies, it's our unique take on the cooperative horde mode, where every map is packed full of powerful weapons and upgrades, deadly enemies, and tons of secrets to uncover. The legacy of Zombies is incredibly important to Treyarch, and we are so proud of what the mode is bringing to players in Black Ops 6. As you've heard today, the innovations in movement systems will also be coming to Zombies. Plus,
That'll be dope
there are
for
many
Zombies.
additional
Really cool.
zombie-specific features, both new and returning. This is going to be a truly epic return for round-based Zombies. Be on the lookout for more intel coming later this year.
Steph interviewed AB. Mark?
Now we know we only get...
Okay, so they didn't say much about Zombies other than kind of what was leaked, which is to say 2 maps at launch and round-based is back with a bunch of fan favorite features and all of that. I don't really have much else to add either. Again, if there is more info out there, we'll talk about it on Saturday. But yeah, I think 2 maps is plenty. I think people being upset about that is wildly overblown, but we already talked about that. And round-based being back is obviously what we all want and is good.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I'm so excited for Zombies. God.
Zombies is going to go Bond plus Curse.
Those mechanics will go crazy in Zombies, too. Being able to, like, being pushed by zombies that are, you know, still slower so you can get away from them, but then just make a little gap, do the backwards dive. So you start sprinting backwards and then you jump backwards while you're shooting them. That's going to go crazy, man. That's going to be cool.
Yeah, plus the absurd, like, pack-a-punch, like, perks you get in Zombies. Because, like, you might be able to get lightweight in multiplayer, and that'll make you move, like, 5% faster. But if you get, like, Speed Cola or whatever it is in Zombies, you move, like, 80% faster. So with all of that crazy stuff, plus the new movement, yeah, Zombies is going to be super fun and cool. Yeah. So let's move on.
Gave you a little taste of multiplayer here today, so make sure to mark your calendars for our worldwide multiplayer reveal event at Call of Duty Next on August 28th. Make sure to stay tuned for details and watch your favorite streamers get hands-on Black Ops 6 so you can be prepped and ready to jump into our MP beta and feel Omnimovement for yourself. We'll be sharing so much more about Black Ops 6 in the coming months and look forward to seeing your reactions
so many
and your feedback from our open beta coming up this fall and into launch.
Hellstorm.
And it's not just about launch, because the team is already focused on delivering a ton of content in the live seasons, which we'll be sharing more about.
Another human shield.
Am I allowed to talk about Warzone yet?
No.
I cringed visibly, and it pisses me off that they added that.
I liked it, man.
It bothers me so much.
Get over it.
Can we this stage, like, can we talk about Warzone yet? Cringe. say you're going to talk more about Warzone later. You don't need to do the acting.
Because she wants to talk about it, man.
Stop.
Shut up.
Anyways, there is nothing in Warzone about Warzone.
Our goal on Black Ops 6 was, and still is, to make something that is the best work we've ever done, and frankly, the most fun to play. To do that, we deconstructed all of our gameplay, our systems, and content plans, and repeatedly asked how something could be better. In some cases, that led us to huge innovations like Omnimovement, where we're now allowing players to move how real people and operators move.
This guy grew up in Huntington Beach.
In other
by the
cases,
way.
it led us back to some of our
Okay,
classic
hold
systems
on.
like Prestige.
Go back.
Then taking that classic.
What was that sprint we were seeing?
Go back where?
Go back a little bit more. Play it. Watch this sprint as he's running towards the satellite.
Like Omnimovement, where we're now allowing players to move how real people and operators move.
That might be the tac sprint.
In other cases, it led us back to some
That is, I think, maybe what Ghost of Hope was talking about how there's some weird new animation, and that could either be a tac sprint animation or it's just something else. I don't know what else that could be, but if that was the tac sprint animation, it looks very weird, which ultimately doesn't really matter, but I'm just saying it doesn't look like traditional tac sprint, so we really don't know what that is exactly.
You're right, though, because that was not a normal sprint animation. So for those of you just listening, the guy was sprinting forward, and he had an M16 or an M4 equipped.
Like what you use storming Fallujah.
Correct, yeah, in the core, which I was in. So instead of just holding it like with the barrel pointing to your left and running like a normal sprint animation, and instead of holding it straight vertically while running like a tac sprint animation, he was holding it like in front of him, but his left hand was off of his gun, and with each stride he would pull back one arm and put the other one forward as if he were sprinting without holding a gun at all. So you would see his left hand just like reached out when he's striding in that way, and then the next stride it would just be his gun. So you saw his left hand like completely off the gun at all. And that does imply to me that there is a tac sprint, and they just changed the animation from the gun being straight up to being like pushed in front of you for better visibility, which I think would be a good change, actually. That is one thing about tac sprinting that is something you have to deal with, is you just can't see the right side of your screen while you're doing it, depending on the gun you have.
Yeah. Yeah, the animation looks terrible, but if it lets you see more, that's a good point.
I would imagine that's why they did it, because it did look weird, but it was also like slow motion. So yeah, I don't know. We'll get more into that on Saturday.
Systems like Prestige, then taking that classic system through the ringer and making updates and improvements. Across our weapons, gear, operators, maps, and more, a huge push has been to hit the highest visual and audio fidelity possible. The campaign tells an all-new Black Ops story where you're forced to go rogue and are being hunted by the teams that trained you. On top of that, the team is really focused on mission and engagement variety. Multiplayer is a key ingredient in the DNA of Black Ops, and hopefully, in this sneak peek, it was clear that every single part of the MP game loop will be improved and better than ever, from movement, to shooting, to footsteps, to engagement systems, to death. And last but definitely not least, the triumphant return of round-based zombies.
So by the way, they explicitly went out of their way to mention that they put a lot of great care and detail into the fidelity of footstep audio specifically. They like explicitly say we put a lot of time and work into how footsteps sound. That's a good sign. Because one thing I don't think of when I think of Treyarch is footstep audio. Because even without dead silence or whatever equivalent, footsteps have always just been kind of quiet in Treyarch games. So I don't really care that much in multiplayer, although I do when it's literally silent like it is right now. Thanks, Covert Sneakers. But I like that they explicitly pointed that out. I think that's worth noting.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I don't know what they meant by that. If they just meant like the quality of everything, I don't exactly know, but I assume the game will still have quiet footsteps because that is what the majority of the multiplayer player base likes. So That's what I'm expecting.
Yeah, we'll see. So anyway.
There is so much more to share across all 3 game modes before the game officially launches on October 25th.
25th.
On behalf of the entire team, we can't wait for you to play Call of Duty Black Ops 6.
Whoa.
That was a dope reload animation. Took forever. And that's it. So they start talking about pre-order the Vault Pack and get this and that and the other thing. So, okay.
Oops. Sorry.
So yeah, overall, Black Ops 6 Direct, man. We did it. What are your thoughts?
It's looking cool. It's looking nice. I'm a lot more excited for it than something like Cold War. You can honestly tell just from the info they've put out that this game actually got a full development cycle, yeah.
Yeah.
You can just tell, like, they would not have made all of these drastic movement changes with the Omnimovement, whether or not we end up liking it or not. That whole system took a lot of development time, so it's clear they've had time. All new maps on launch, very excited for that. Obviously, we're going to get remasters, but they're going to launch the game with only new maps. So, you know, we'll get, like, Nuketowns for sure coming back. There will definitely be maps that we're getting back soon, so Nuketown's probably, like, they launch it 2 weeks after the game or season 1, something like that. So we'll get all those. But yeah, it looks fun. The gunplay looks solid. The movement looks interesting. We're getting a lot of changes to Warzone too. Very excited to see news on that. The colors look good. One of the zombies maps, the one they didn't show. So when they talked about zombies, they showed two little clips, but it was just the same clip they played twice. And it was one of the zombies maps like zooming out from it. And it like took place on a cliff, like a military base. Kind of hard to see. I didn't really look at it that closely, but it was dark. You know, it's like a Dark Aether themed. It's night. It looks like it's raining. Looks like a multi-tiered map kind of as it goes up the mountains. It's interesting. And the other zombies map is supposed to be this little like 90s suburban town with like a Blockbuster video store, a little convenience store. It takes place during the day. That vibe, in my opinion, is awesome for a zombies game like that. It's really cool. So I'm very excited for that. But yeah, the game looks solid. Like I said, the gunplay especially. You can learn a lot from these videos. Like when MW2, when we started seeing gameplay of that, and you could see the gun visual recoil, the flash, all of that, how bad it was. You knew, you're like, oh, this doesn't look very good, right? Well, this game does not look like that. It looks like gunplay, honestly similar to what we have right now in MW3 and Warzone 2, where it's lower recoil, where the guns have some recoil, a lot of them, but it's not that visual shake anymore. Love that. A lot of the iron sights we were seeing too looked really nice. But yeah, just everything. I'm very excited for this, and I'm glad they gave us all this info now, because we didn't really know what to expect. You know, I'd been saying it seems like there's going to be a lot more info than just a little tiny trailer. So this is great that they do it this early, start drawing up the hype now. I mean, people are very excited for this game. Very, very excited. Like even the Omnimovement that we talked about, whether or not people end up loving it or hating it, this is a huge change to Call of Duty in general and anything we've had. I mean, like Charlie Intel was saying how I think their most liked tweet ever now was a tweet showing the Omnimovement. So people are excited for it. This is going to be huge for the game. I really think it'll change a lot when it comes to both Warzone and multiplayer and even zombies. But yeah, having Classic Prestige back too, fantastic. I'm not somebody who will ever grind to level 1,000, but this is exactly what this system is for those people that will. And I'm not going to be mad when I see some level 1,000 in my lobby. I'm just going to be like, this guy's a nerd. He plays the game a lot. But it's cool to have things like that for other people to grind for. It gets them to keep playing the game. It's just good for everybody, honestly. So I'm glad that we're having that back. I don't know if we mentioned it too, but on the little gunsmith screen, a little hint there was, it looks like we're getting weapon prestige back too. So we'll talk more about that on Saturday. I think we'll gather more info. But there was a little icon on this the screen that looked like you could prestige your weapon in some way or another. So when we talked about that on Saturday, that could be dope. Like, imagine having a little kill counter type thing on one of your guns that you use in Warzone. That'd be super cool. And yes, as somebody in chat pointed out, Nuketown is confirmed. It was on one of the lobby menus, but just so many things they didn't talk about too that you could see if you watch the full video. So if you're listening to this, I recommend either come to YouTube and watch the pod or just go and watch the direct stream yourself, because you can learn so many other little things that we don't. This would be a 5-hour pod if we paused all the time and pointed little things out. But you know, like the lobby menus, a lot of people have complained about UI. The UI is being overhauled. The lobby loading screen looks like what we saw last in BO4. I guess Cold War probably had it to an extent. As most of you guys know, I did not play a lot of Cold War at all. I did not like that game. But it's the classic design where on the right-hand side of your screen, you see all of the players lined up vertically. You see their calling cards. There is going to be map voting. You can definitely see that from the videos too, or from what they show in the video. Little snippets as they're showing guys working on their, computers. You see that map voting is coming back as well. But even just the UI in general, how you sort through things from your weapons, to your, to your challenges, to your social menu, it's all different and it's overhauled. And that's been a complaint of a lot of people for a long time now. So that's going to be completely overhauled. Things again, I love how we're getting the things like medal pop-ups on screen. It's very obvious in Treyarch games. Somebody else I saw pointed out, the calling card pop-ups are in and working as of right now. So you see calling card pop-ups when you kill somebody. Just so many little things that are in all the Treyarch games. We're going to get a great challenge system back as well, probably, which they're great for. They even hinted at something like that when they said like the max prestige thing, you're going to unlock something. This game will probably have dark ops challenges as well, like the hidden calling cards.
Ooh.
So there's a lot to be excited for, and I think we're going to have more time to play this multiplayer before Warzone comes out as well, since this game launches pretty much 15 days earlier than MW3 did last year. I'm assuming the Warzone integration will still take place around the same time, early December. So we're going to have like a solid 40, 45 days on this game, I would think. So I'm excited for it. I'm so excited to run zombies.
I know, dude. Yeah. And we need more time because zombies is actually going to be worth playing, unlike, DMZ or zombies this year. I wonder how long the camo grind is going to take. I also wonder if we're going to get campaign early access again. I would love some campaign early access. That would be really good. Because it's going to be real tough for me to play the campaign if we're getting zombies day one and multiplayer day one and campaign day one. I will, in fact, probably not play the campaign unless I get it early access ever. Because there's going to be just too much fun stuff to do. So I think we will, but they haven't mentioned it yet. But that'll be awesome if we do get it early. But yeah, there is a lot to look forward to here. Treyarch really was cooking with this one. And like Tanner said, you're right. I mean, there are so many like specific things I could talk more about and get into more details and praise, frankly. But it's just so obvious that they got more time with this game. And it's more polished than Cold War was. Or a lot of the CODs we've gotten lately have been. It's very clear from this direct that this is a very polished game. And even though we didn't get like the multiplayer reveal that they talked about, which is coming in sometime in August, I believe they said, even though we didn't get that,
like that.
Yeah, even though we didn't get that, we did see a lot of multiplayer gameplay in the background in that video. And it already looks playable, like pretty good. So, I mean, and we've still got a while to go till the game launches. So obviously they have a playable game already, and who knows how long it's been playable for, with like the kill feed, the UI, the medals popping up, the attachments, the gunsmith, all of that. So they have a lot of time to continue polishing before launch. So I am I have extremely high hopes for this game. And even if it isn't very innovative, which I think it ultimately won't be, honestly, it will be very, very polished. And that is what I would prefer much more than a ton of innovation. I think they kind of have gotten too crazy with attempting to innovate in the past couple of years. And it looks like they are not doing that this year. The one big innovation this year is the Omnimovement thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the innovation. They did one innovation. Everything else, it's just more iterations, polishing, refinement, and making better. That's what we want from COD games. We play the same game every year. We don't want innovation, obviously. That's why you guys sell the most games of any game every year. Because we want the same thing every year. Stop innovating too much. Don't get crazy. Don't give me DMZ. Don't give me AI in Warzone. What other innovations? Don't give me blind fire. I don't want these things. These are dumb. And no one asked and no one cares. Give us polish, refinement, and improvement every year, which is it looks like they've done in spades. And if you want to get innovative, innovate on something interesting or good or not objectionable. And it looks like Omnimovement rather will fit the bill there. I think that is a way to innovate in absolutely the right direction, given that it's handled correctly. And again, with how much polish this game appears to have, it looks like it will be handled correctly. So I'm immensely excited for this game. And again, that's not to mention zombies at all, which I'm super excited about and I think is going to be super, super good and super, super fun. And we have a great year to look forward to. And also, no remasters on launch means that they're not going to start remastering mid maps again like they've done recently. Like I remember I don't remember actually, but I don't know if it was this year or last year or maybe both, but they were remastering maps that I had like forgotten about. Like, oh, you're remastering this map? Okay. Well, this game, they remastered every map. So I guess that's one thing, but like last year too, in MW 2, they had remasters on launch and then they were remastering like totally mid maps.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, what?
Yeah.
But now that we have no remasters on launch, season 1, we're probably going to get like Nuketown and it's just going to be a bunch of banger maps. So that'll be cool too.
Yeah. Nuketown. Maybe we'll actually get firing range.
Yeah. Oh my God. Please give me firing range. It's been so long, man. How have we not gotten it remastered since BO4?
It's coming in Cold War. They confirmed it. The leakers confirmed it.
Did they say that?
Just keep waiting. It's coming to Cold War. Just wait a few more months, man.
Classic. Yeah. Best map ever created, so.
Yeah. Oh man, just zombies every season too. You know what would be cool is if the zombies, if you leveled guns as quickly in zombies as you do in multiplayer or faster. I would just only play zombies on launch, I think.
Stop.
I would, man.
Stop it. You got a camo grind, buddy.
I don't know if I'm going to. We'll see what it looks like.
I will. Yeah, that's one thing they do need to fix, but as an aside. You need to be able to level guns as quickly in zombies as you do in... You need to be able to level guns as quickly in every game mode as every other one. It's dumb how slow zombies leveling is. Yeah, fix it. So you shouldn't be punished for playing the game mode you prefer. So, all right, that's it. We'll be back on Saturday, as we've said a bunch now. We will be going into way more details that were not talked about in that video, but I will have that video linked for you probably in the show notes or video description if you want to go watch it yourself. Or if you want to watch the campaign section as well, which we did not cover, you can do that at the link. Or you can just search Black Ops 6 Direct on YouTube. It's easy to find. Now, before we sign off, we do have a couple of announcements. First and foremost, welcome to our new patrons. We got a new gold patron, Woke Up Tilted. Absolutely go. Welcome aboard, buddy. Very much appreciated. A new platinum patron who's better than Woke Up Tilted, Brian O. Some Nick. Thanks, buddy. Very much appreciate that, Brian, and welcome to the platinum. And Dakota C upgrading from gold straight to Damascus. An absolute god, Dakota. Welcome aboard, King. All of you, join the Discord, link your accounts. Do it. Get active in the community.
Be kinetic.
Get those secret channels. And then, I don't know what this name is. Cyle. If that's Kyle, it is the most offensive spelled name I've ever seen. If that's how I'm meant to pronounce that. If it's Sile, change it. Either way, hate it. So Sile and or Kyle H, our new annual gold patron. Love that. Hate your name either way, though. God, and don't like it also.
Cool. Yeah.
And welcome to the Patreon, buddy. Going straight to annual. We appreciate that. And as a reminder, we do have free trials for our Patreon from now through the end of June. Sign up, get all the benefits at no cost to you at any tier you want. And right now, we would like to acknowledge that we got some new free trial patrons. I'm not thanking you. I have nothing to be thankful for, but I want to acknowledge that you've begun a free trial. Adam, Hayden, Jonas L, Andreas O, Hassan RH, Colton B, and Lee Mundo. I've acknowledged that you are free trial patrons. Patreon.com/thedropshot. Free trials are available. We're going to have some more Patreon episodes cooking. I think we're going to do one this week.
Certainly. We're going to do one this week, today or tomorrow. Just not sure. Maybe we should do the Q&A tomorrow. So those free trial members can hear that, get their first little Q&A during their trial as well.
That's possible.
We might do that. We'll see. But either way, the hangout is this Friday as well. Hangout is this Friday at 6:30 Pacific. So again, if you're on a free trial, you can come out to that if you're Damascus.
Yes. Yep. And you can sign up for a free trial at Damascus if you want to. So patreon.com/dropshot. All right. We'll see you guys on Saturday. I'm very excited for Saturday to talk about additional BO6 info. Blops. W Blops. And stay humble.
Stay super humble.